Have you ever seen a movie that you felt like it was a masterpiece, but feel rather surprised that it's not being treated as a masterpiece? Of course you have! With all films made in the world, not all of them would get the amount of attention they deserve. Even in the long run, one movie would be really big when it came out, and then would just fade away afterwards like it never happened. This is why they are known to be underrated, underappreciated, underdogs, the hidden gems of cinema. Today's movie that I think is an underrated masterpiece is the 1986 Don Bluth film An American Tail. This was the first movie by Don Bluth I saw as a kid, but not his first movie in his career in animation. And before you ask, no, I haven't seen The Secret of NIMH yet, but I will sometime later. Looking back at it now, I was so amazed by how beautiful it was. In fact, I would call it one of the best non-Disney musicals in animation. Sure, it may not be as great as The Secret of NIMH, but it's most certainly in a very similar field just by how dark and heartwarming it is. This movie centers on this little child mouse named Fievel Mouskowitz. The neighborhood where he and his family live gets set on fire all of a sudden, and to make matters worse, cats. Of course cats! The focus characters are mice, so you should have cats in this movie. So, to live in a quieter and more peaceful place, they leave Russia and move to America with the hopes that there aren't any cats there. No, really, they even sang a musical number of that. Seriously, just because you live in a different country doesn't mean your biggest problem gets left behind so easily. On the way, they get into a storm and Fievel gets separated from his family. Now on his journey to search for his family, Fievel meets new friends as well as a greedy villain who looks like a mouse at first, but in reality he's a cat.
You're not a rat, you're a cat!
Yeah, even if the plot sounds familiar, they executed it relatively well, and it actually works for an animated classic. Okay, now that I've given you some elements of the story, I'm gonna talk about other factors without going into too many spoilers. As for the characters... Aww. Yeah, Fievel is kinda cute, I get it, but that's besides the point. I was gonna say that the characters are alright. There really aren't anything special, but hey, at least the focus characters have some kind of personality, am I right? But going back to Fievel, there are some moments where someone might cringe out while watching this movie.
Look, Papa, water! Is it the ocean?
Yeah, I totally get that, but he's a child, so he's always curious and always learning every day, if you know what I mean. Which one of you thinks this little character is adorable? Comment below. The animation here is great. For a 1980s animated movie, this looks really nice. The songs here are very well written and executed, and I bet you were crying when you listened to Somewhere Out There. I wish I did too. That song was soul crushing. And speaking of the songs, I need to remind everyone that this is not trying to copy the Disney Renaissance, even if The Great Mouse Detective came out that same year. An American Tail was made in 1986, just 3 years before Disney's first entry of their renaissance, The Little Mermaid. When it comes to voice acting, yes, it is very good here, but it's especially good with Philip Glaser's performance as Fievel. This is one of Glaser's first acting roles. He was only 8 years old when this movie was made, and he pulled it off so well.
Presents! What about presents? I don't know, they were on the boat to America. I'll never find them again anyway. This is my home now.
There's nothing else I can say about this movie, though I will say this. Just because some people might have grown out of this movie as time went on, doesn't mean everyone has to leave it behind like it doesn't exist. You guys just gotta stop being lazy and actually look for movies like this instead of it looking for you. Ultimately, I couldn't be happier to recommend it for anyone who is familiar with Don Bluth and his work in animation, and I even say this is one of the greatest non-Disney animated movies ever made. Okay then, bye.